So from a scale of 1 to William Regal, what's your guys' rating for Adam Pearce's War Games announcement on Raw?
Giving it a 9.5. 9.5.
Very respectable. Rhodesia, what you got?
So, of course, I knew that he was leading into saying that in the beginning of his sentences. So, of course, I'm like super duper excited. I'm going to give him a 10. Because he hit that mug with so much passion. I was like, yeah, let's go.
I think I'm going to give him a William Regal on it. I'm going to give him a William Regal. He had the glasses that he took off. He was into it. He was absolutely into it. And the cool thing was, like, the fans was there for it, too. Like, for him, how he set it up. And then the crowd popped before he said War Games. I was like, well, anybody who thinks that match isn't popular with the fan base, here you go. It is. So we got either a 9.5 or a William Regal from the scale of 1 to 10. Shout out to Adam Pearce. Nice job, man. Very nice job. Still ain't, I miss seeing Regal say it, but when he did it, he took the glass off and hit. I was like, I can live with that.
Yeah.
I can live with that. So we talked about our thoughts about the match. Eternal, via X had sent us his thoughts on who was going to be in it. We talked about it last pod. He is 90% of the way because right now it's 4-on-4. We got to get to 5. We know it's a 5-on-5 match. So we got Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Seth Rollins versus JD McDonough, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio. So after watching Raw on Monday, are y'all changing your thoughts on who the 5th members are going to be on each side? Or are you sticking with what we talked about on Sunday?
I'm sticking with it.
Hey, so it's a funny inside joke here. Now I was watching some basketball right now because I didn't really watch the NBA last season. Lifelong basketball fan, but I'm really excited about this year. My Pistons got a lot of great young talent on there. CP3 fan, Steph Curry fan, so I'm really interested. So I watched the Pistons game against my Warriors last night, man. Kid in a candy store. After the game went off, I'm like, all right, time to get 3 hours of Raw in tonight, right? We're on a text message with one of our homeboys, and Brandon was like, E, and it's like 9:35. Like, E, you ought to be asleep at 9:40. I'm like, get out of here, man. I'll be up at least another hour and a half, right? I can cram it in there. Went upstairs, got ready for work, ironed my clothes. I had the show on. Sat down, put my hands behind my head, crossed my legs. So, yeah, he called it. He's a little bit late. It wasn't exactly 9:40, but it was like 10:15. So I didn't see anything real. I don't actually remember what I actually saw of the show.
I don't remember what I saw.
I don't remember at all. I don't know how much show I even watched. I'm going to go back and look at it.
What a hell of a way to start the pod. Well, episode 81. I am your host, Matt, joined by Eshaun that did not watch Raw. Rhodesia watched Raw. Shout out to all of our listeners and supporters of the pod. You guys know I shout you guys out each and every pod, or I try to anyway. And we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Our last podcast, which was Sunday, is the higher listening ship that we've had any of our pods in 48 hours. So shout out to you guys. I don't know if you guys took to heed when I said tell a friend, but you did it. So continue to do it. We appreciate it. Of course, continue to follow us on all the socials. Follow us, of course, wherever you get your podcasts. And leave us some reviews too. We haven't had a review in a couple months. And as I said a couple months ago, we see the numbers. We know you're listening. We absolutely know you're listening now. Leave us a 5-star review and some comments. That would be fan-freaking-tastic. So we talked about War Games already. Probably the other biggest thing that came out of Raw was now we know who Rhea Ripley's next challenger is at Survivor Series. And that's Zoey Stark. What's your guys' thoughts about Zoey getting... That's no S, Rhodesia. No
oh, you
S.
heard that? I tried to do it on the slide.
What's your guys' thoughts about Zoey getting the shot? I think we know that Zoey's not going to win the championship. But anybody they would have put in there against Rhea, I don't think would have been favored to beat Rhea. But what's your guys' thoughts on Zoey getting that shot in a couple weeks?
We just talked about Zoey on the last episode and just like how great she goes in the ring. I guess maybe missing something on the speaking part, on the mic skills, but I was actually surprised to see that she actually won. I love the final sequence of how that played out and how she won. I'm excited to see it just because she is so good in the ring, and we know Rhea's great in the ring. No one's gonna expect her to win, but I think we're gonna be in store for a hell of a good showing.
You felt that.
So excited from a rating of 1 to 10. I'm gonna go 0.5.
0.5?
Yeah, 0.5. They better put some seasoning salt in that woman. They better put some salad dressing, some mayonnaise, ketchup.
You trying to eat Zoey?
Put all the condiments on there.
Trying to eat Zoey.
He's trying to eat Zoey. You trying to eat Zoey?
He's definitely. He saw her in that full body outfit on Crown Jewel, and you started talking about seasoning salt and salt and pepper. We gotta watch out, man.
They need to look, man. She's boring.
Oh,
she's boring.
Boring. I will say that she needs something to her character for sure.
A lot.
I wouldn't call her boring.
Not something.
Yeah, I wouldn't call her boring. Okay, so who's more entertaining, Zoey Stark or Back Dimples?
Naya. Oh, Back Dimples.
Yeah.
Oh, Raquel. Okay.
Yeah, I never believe this. Maybe I was dreaming, but I remember Nia Jax being on my TV, and I couldn't look away for some reason. I couldn't fast forward through it, so I don't know if this really happened or not. But I remember being mildly entertained.
See, she's good, like, man. She was good.
Damn, she ain't that bad on the microphone. She
has
personality.
Did you see her in the ring, or was it the promo?
Man, I don't remember. Like I said, I might have been. Was she on Raw? First of all,
yes,
I don't know.
Okay,
because I might have saw her as I was falling asleep, but I've seen some clips of her recently, and she's entertaining at least, right? Like I don't know how her ring work, but she's entertaining at least.
I am so proud of both of you. Rhodesia in 80 episodes went from calling MJF a crackhead to now saying he could wrestle. She said that on Sunday's pod. And you, E, I'm so proud of you, man. You went from about 15 episodes of saying, get this woman off my TV, of now you're having dreams of her.
Oh my God.
I like it, man.
Can I ask a quick question? I know y'all just twist and turn everything I say, but I don't remember calling MJF a crackhead. When did I say that?
Go back and listen to
No,
episode
you did.
1.
You did, yeah.
Go back and listen to episode 1.
For sure.
It is there. It is.
This is what we're talking about, man. We be on this podcast and show. I never said that.
No,
that
E,
never
you be
happened.
making up. E will flip flop. E will say one thing about one thing. Then the next episode, I'm like, E, that's the same thing I was arguing with you last week about.
No.
So no. I don't remember the crackhead. Maybe I said crackhead and took it back.
No.
And then y'all ran with that.
I think we actually have a it's one of the hits.
It's one of the videos,
one of the episodes. Yeah.
Hey, I'll send a listener $1 if they can find out what episode that was on that I call MJF crackhead.
I just said it.
Which one?
So I just said episode 1. It was our first episode.
The first episode?
Episode 1.
Started with a bang.
Yep, you sure did.
Self high five.
Dang.
Well, I'm much higher on Zoey than you are right now. Yeah, I do. Like I said, I agree. She does need something. I think just the badass character doesn't work when you have Rhea as a champ, because there is no bigger badass than that. And you got Becky Lynch, who was the man. She's a badass, so she's kind of in that. To me, she's kind of like in that Ciampa role, where
great
like
comparison, yeah.
Yeah, like they're kind of like the yin to, they're like the same person almost.
You know, I hate to say it, this is like, I'm not a Vince guy. I'm an anti-Vince guy, especially in the last probably 10 years of him running creative. This is when she needs like a gimmick. She's a gimmick. Right?
Yep.
Not everybody can come out there and just be an extension of themselves and be entertaining. She needs a character.
From a scale of 1 to the worst thing your ears have ever heard. I can't ask you. You didn't see it. Rhodesia's second week now of DIY's music.
It was actually
scale
much
of
better.
1 to the worst thing you've ever heard. Where you putting it?
I'm gonna put it probably at a 5. It wasn't bad the second time hearing it. The first time I heard it, maybe it was just more of the what? So then now I already know going into it that it ain't gonna be what I was expecting. It actually wasn't that bad.
That ain't it. You might as well give me that Johnny's. I don't know.
No, it's better than that fake Johnny Rebel Heart one.
It's close.
And you know what it is? Maybe too, because I'm looking at the full production. So their Titantron in the back, I think is slick as hell.
No,
I love
cool.
how they do that side by yeah. So
that
maybe I'm thinking about that too with it, that it doesn't sound as bad because the visuals is amazing for it.
Next week when they come out, just close your eyes and listen.
Like this.
Yep.
Okay.
And you're gonna be like, no, this ain't it, Chief.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm telling you,
you're
that
gonna have
Rebel Heart,
nightmares of it. Next week,
that Rebel Heart wasn't that hot, bro.
The first one was. The NXT version was one of the
Absolutely
best.
It was.
No,
Yes.
let me. Here's the thing. I want y'all to play. We gonna maybe when the show go off, we gonna play the song together, and we gonna close our eyes.
Oh, I'm gonna go
right.
hard on
We
it,
gonna
too.
close our eyes. You know what we gonna imagine?
Rebel
A hot
Heart.
chick
Boom,
running out
boom.
to the ring. That's what. That's what I expect when I hear that song.
Zoey,
I
right?
expect to
Because
see
he
a
wants to
hot
eat her so much.
Zoey.
Because you want to eat her so much.
Zoey.
Food just be so seasoned.
You know what? She. You know, I hate to say it. She's not my type.
Two seasons.
Maybe that's why she need a gimmick.
I like Zoey. I like Zoey.
I like Zoey.
So we got
too.
Zoey Rhea. We have the War Games match, which I'm starting to think if it makes sense for Drew to turn in the next week and a half, and then Cody makes a call to one of his friends. We kind of all know who his friend is. Maybe they don't announce it, but if he says it, we all know that's Orton, and then we do get Orton in that match. It looks like we're going to get Miz and Gunther, which I think we kind of talked about that already. We kind of knew it. Looks like they'll announce that officially next week. I was really hoping for Chad Gable, but looks like we'll get the Miz.
Well, so real quick before you leave that, what happened at the end with the Ricochet kicking out and like the refs think that it was going to be a double count pin, and then the announcers didn't. It just seemed so clunky.
Well, E's boy Dave Meltzer reported that Ricochet was not supposed to kick, and he kicked out.
Oh, he went into business for himself.
Well,
he went into business for himself.
They were saying he's a little loopy. He may got
there
a
we
concussion
go.
earlier in the match.
Okay.
Or
Yeah,
not on the splash, but earlier in the match.
Okay.
So he wasn't supposed to kick. He kicked. And that's why
instinct.
it was the confusion. The confusion that we saw. So next week they're doing Ivar against Miz, and the winner gets the match with Gunther.
Okay.
So
because that's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be in a double pin. Got it.
Yep.
Got it.
So, I mean, pretty solid first 3 matches announced for the show. I am interested to see the trailer for War Games does have the women in it. I am interested to see if they try to put together a 5-on-5 women's War Games. I'm interested to see what EO does. So they got a few more things that they need to do. And then they gotta do something with the Bloodline. Bloodline being Solo and Jimmy. They've got to be involved on that show. But that's in 2 weeks. Which is crazy because what were you about to say?
Between the both of y'all, have y'all ever remembered a War Games being only a 4-on-4, even back in the day?
You know, I honestly don't remember.
I would have to look.
I don't honestly remember.
Actually, I can pull it up now.
Because I would rather just have the 4-on-4 that's announced now. I don't know. I just hate when things feel like it's thrown together. Same reason why like I don't want a women's one, because I just don't feel right now that there's a 5-on-5 unless again you bring all the faces together and all the heels together. We
know part of the fun would be for them to, hey, we need a partner, right? And that's like the story thread of them looking for or recruiting a partner, right? Kind of we saw in AEW somewhat.
I guess you got 2 weeks to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and the story is there with Drew.
Yeah,
either side.
That's the anticipation. Like, all right, who's going to recruit Drew? What teams he going to be part of? I mean, there's definitely stories there, especially for the women, right? You can see like Bianca and Charlotte, like trying to scout to see who they can get on their team. They can make like some nice little story threads for that.
All right, so then let's try to do a quick 5-on-5 women's War Games. If they were going to do it, who you got?
For sure, Dakota's still out, right? She's still injured.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was gonna say that's 4 in damage control. So let's say
so
you call
then-
it
so
3
you got
in damage
Io?
control. Mm-hmm. We could say Kyrie right now at this point.
Kyrie,
and
Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got 3. Who's the other 2?
Mm-hmm.
Piper and Chelsea.
Okay. All right, so those are the heels.
Yep. And on the other side, Bianca, Charlotte, Shotzi, right? Because Shotzi and Charlotte just pinned the tag champions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, so now you got 3.
Did you do Asuka?
And I think you can get Asuka so you can get some anticipation of maybe does she turn in the match or whatever the case may be, or maybe not.
And Natty, especially after her video package she had.
Yeah, Natty, she was speaking. She was talking, wasn't she?
Yeah, like she said, I've been the most successful woman in this company.
There was a great, and I remember seeing it too, but it was a great, somebody clipped it and put it on social media during the match on Monday. She's outside the ring. This is Battle Royal, so she's outside the ring. There's a spot where Indy Hartwell goes to kick her. She kind of moves. Then she eliminates Indy. Well, I forgot who was in the corner. It may have been, I forgot who. So I can't remember. But you can hear her say like, move. Because there's about to be elimination. And if they didn't move, that would have completely messed up what they were trying to do. And just goes back to, of course, having veterans in the ring. You got to have veterans in the ring, just like in sports. You know what I mean? But so shout out to Natty. Natty is somebody who's going to have a job forever, and she deserves it. The work she puts in is incredible. So that was kind of it from a Survivor Series, even for Raw. There were some other things that happened on Raw. It was a pretty good show, but I know you're going to go back and watch, so
absolutely
we can leave it there. What else? Oh, Rhodesia, you wanted to, or
you talking about the bloodline?
Yeah.
So here we go. Once again, Crown Jewel ends with Roman Reigns winning the way he has been winning for the last how many years?
3.
Do I think it's kind of stale? No, but it's very predictable. But again, it's nothing that we didn't think was going to happen. We knew that this was going to happen. So now that we have the same old outcome for Roman's match, are we ready for his streak to end? Or are we going to try to get to 1474 to be Hogan?
So we're going to go back in time, right? I guess you guys are going to forget that WrestleMania 39, you guys were, being the super smart fans and was cheering Roman.
You're talking about something that happened 7 months ago? That's cool.
Yes. We going down the story. We going down the story.
Got it.
You guys are cheering the best finish in the world, right?
Ooh, it was fantastic.
Fantastic.
Probably the best I've ever seen.
And I asked you guys, I said, what's next for Roman? Because it's the same finish, the same thing for all his matches. What's next for him? Right? And so fast forward to where we are now, he's had like 2 title defenses since Mania. And it's been the exact same finish, the exact same situation. Because I say that, like most fans, right, at the end of that Mania match, were kind of like, damn, I wanted Cody to win that. Right? Okay. Maybe it's not his time. People try to convince everybody, it wasn't right for Cody. It was the right moment. We were at Ford Field when Jay lost to Roman.
Don't remind me.
And we remember we were sitting there and like we just kind of
don't remind me.
Like the crowd, we just kind of felt dejected. And I don't necessarily think it was because, like it was like, damn, Roman did it again. It was saying finish. It just kind of was like, man, I think everybody was hoping for something different, something new. And I don't necessarily think that Roman is stale, but it's been kind of the same thing almost every 2 to 3 to 4 months whenever you see him. Like, right, it's a bunch of interference. He almost loses the match. Somehow he wins. And at the end, it's just Roman standing tall again. And then for me, I felt like it's just that, look, I don't know if this would have hurt Cody or not. But I felt like it's just been downhill for Roman and the bloodline in general ever since Mania. Because, we had the peak was with Sammy. Cody kind of rode the wave. After that Mania match, it's just been a slow deterioration with all the momentum that he had. Back to where we are now. So we may get a finish to the story at Mania 40. Maybe, maybe not. But man, it's going to be a long haul to get there. Because right now, I think that a lot of people are getting kind of tired of seeing the same old with Roman.
So then do you think that Are you ready for the streak to end then?
Kinda.
How long will Roman have to hold the title to beat Hogan's record?
Another 310 days.
Another 310 days?
Mm-hmm. He's at 1164 now, if my math is right. And Hogan had it for 1474.
So you're talking about August, September?
Sure.
Something like that?
50 days from November, October, September, yep.
Well, something drastically we have to change if they try to prolong it that long. Am I ready for it to end right now? No, I'm not ready for it to end right now. But I know they're doing this on purpose. You know, I kind of said my piece on Sunday's pod just around every match is the same, which means that's what Cody is going to have to overcome in that match, and they can tell that story. But I also think they want the fan base to be over Roman as champion. So I think this is also a plan too. Because you can't go into Mania or whatever match he has with Cody for the title. It can't be 50-50 split. It can't be 60-40. You need like 99.
You need to hate Roman at that point. Yep.
Yeah.
It would be that one, but
yeah. You know what I'm saying? No, I would not. No, Mania is time. It's time. Unless they figure something out to where they can drag this out again, which I don't think they will. It's time. It's time. For me, I'm ready for now the next part of the story of he loses the championship. Now what? So I think there's a lot of meat on that bone that they can do and tell a story for a long time with that. So am I ready for him to lose it like today? No. I'm definitely ready for it to be over though in April.
I'm at a point though where, and it's probably just my disdain to Hogan, that I do want him to eclipse that. I want to wipe the record books of Hogan for the longest or second longest reigning, and I want Roman to get it. But how do we get there without being like completely over Roman and without it completely feeling like you are only doing this to break his record? And I just go back to his matches that he had, and I feel like if they were matches where he either dominated the person, we would be talking about something different, but he had only Jay and LA Knight that he went against, and you had to protect them. So you had to have all those interferences. I think though they can build it where Roman, there is a world where they can build Roman for another almost year. It'd just be who he's going against that he could annihilate, and you don't get all that same old funny business at the end. Because if he was just a dominant killer like Brock, granted, he had Paul Heyman too on his side, but if you were just a dominant killer like Brock and just running through these guys, we would feel different about that. It's just that we're so tired of seeing the same old. The match starts off slowly paced, at least for me. It picks up some maybe close finishes, and then finally we have an interference. Roman wins again. Like, I think that we're just over that. That's why, like, I don't think Roman is stale. I just think the way his matches end is stale. But I do think we could get there. And I really just want him to wipe Hogan on the record books, off the record books.
There was a report. I'm looking at it here. I wanted to make sure. Okay. Tell me what you guys think about this. Allegedly, WWE currently has no immediate plans for Knight to win the Royal Rumble or challenge Reigns for the title at WrestleMania. Internally, there is reportedly a belief that LA Knight has reached the pinnacle of his popularity despite being a beloved figure in pro wrestling. Although Knight's merchandise sales are thriving, WWE seems to be shifting their focus toward other storylines. Justin Barrasso, who is a writer for Sports Illustrated, explained that LA Knight needs to connect with crowds on a deeper level at this stage.
So are y'all going to call him a hater like me?
Yeah.
Well, he's not a hater. I think if you take it from what
He's a hater.
From what they're saying, he has inside information.
Yeah.
I don't think that's like a perception. I think he's saying
an
fact.
opinion.
Like that's what they think. If that is accurate, if that is true, one, okay, I can see the part about making a little bit better connection with the fan base, because what you don't want to do is become a caricature of the fans sit on their hands just to chant yeah during your match on your offense, and then they're not emotionally connected. I get that. But if that's accurate, what's your thoughts on they have the biggest name arguably in all of wrestling right now, and now they're like, all right, we're done with you for months or however long. Try to get yourself over some more, and then we'll pick you back up when and where it makes sense.
they don't consider him number 1, 2, 3, or 4 of the men. And that's just what it is. He's not Roman, Cody, Drew, Seth, and Gunther. So he's probably number 6.
Don't forget Sammy.
Sammy.
Don't
6.
forget Jay.
I forgot about Jay. Yeah, I did forget about. So that's what I'm saying. It's just everyone can't be 1, 2, 3, 4. They just can't. I said that really fast. I probably should slow down. I got hype.
Well, it's been the booty around the net is for. I mean, LNA's recent run is that he has his detractors within the company. He has, it's kind of a, he has his fans, and then he has some guys who think that maybe he needs a little something extra, and maybe he does. Like, right? Like, if he really truly has something with the crowd, let LA Knight continue to build and ascend to the top. I mean, this doesn't have to be the end for him. Just because they're not necessarily going to build the show or the company around him doesn't mean this is going to be the end. Like, look, if he's going to get over, he's going to get over. I think that this is a new dawn in WWE to where, back in the day with Vince McMahon, you kind of feel like he would put the boots on someone's push.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right? Like, if he decided that somebody was done, they were done. Like, right? I don't think with Triple H, head of creative, I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's necessarily even a pause. I feel like, okay, look, we're going to build to possibly Cody at Mania, right? And we need to get there. So in a lot of ways, maybe you don't want to go full-fledged in the LA Knight train, right? Because you don't want anybody to be bigger than Cody, right? Especially if you're thinking that he's going to possibly end the streak. You want everyone to have full investment into Cody, right? So this might be a good opportunity for him to kind of flesh out his character, get a little bit more depth, get that struggle that you guys love, and then we'll see what's up after Mania, right? Because there's a lot of titles in that company.
And to that point, I mean, I guess just when I read it, it kind of just threw me off a little bit. But all it is saying what I've been saying is next for him should be the U.S. title.
Oh.
Or what he's saying is what I've been saying. He's not getting in before SummerSlam of next year.
Oh,
yeah, but I'm saying, but that U.S. title can still be big. That can be a major program with him.
Absolutely, it can be.
Yeah, so like that's not like a demotion to me. But yeah, like if they have all their plans flushed out for Cody, for the Usos, for Sammy, for Seth, for Gunther, all that's flushed between now and that one show they got, I guess, in August next year.
Is it in Belgium, right?
Yeah, I think so. Say if their main event plans are kind of flushed out, depending on injuries or whatnot. And free agency in 2024, that's still a big deal. 2024 is going to be bigger than 2023 was when it comes to wrestling news. I really believe that. But if they got all that fleshed out, okay, well, there's not a spot for Knight. But just kind of just to read that, the part of the one that kind of threw me off a little bit was just there's no immediate plans for him. I'm sure they have plans. Maybe they're just not main event plans for him.
Man, look, it's no secret that he is one of the hottest commodities in wrestling right now. Triple H knows exactly what he has for him. But you know what? Let's keep on the same path of secrets. I want to ask you guys, like, who's because we know we are wrestling best kept secret, right?
Hey, there it is. Let them know. Tell a friend and tell a friend.
Who do you think is a best kept secret in the world of wrestling right now? Who's that person you think is kind of flying under the radar that you think at any given moment is going to break the glass ceiling, so to speak, who's going to take it to the next level? I'm going to give you my example. Steph DeLander. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, Rhodesia. But this woman was forming NXT. She got released a couple of years ago. She's really rebranded herself on the indies along with Matt Cardona. She's kind of like this. She's kind of playing the scary Sherry role, but she has an amazing look. She can talk like the best of them. She has awesome charisma. Like, she is ready made for someone's primetime television. I would love to see the two of them back at TNA in January with a new production budget, by the way.
Yeah.
I do not want to see VHS style production on that station anymore. but I feel like she is somebody who is ready-made for prime time. I would love to see her get to the next level. Who do you guys have in the world of wrestling, any company you think is going to blow our socks off this time next year?
Ooh, so you added something extra on the end, blow my socks off next year. So let me just go off of, I had two because best kept secret. I have one like on the indie scenes, and then I have one that's known, but I think to the majority of WWE fans, they don't know this person. So I'll say that one first. I think Will Ospreay. I think wherever he goes, and I want him to come to WWE, he's going to be a household name coming to WWE. If I have to pull back and maybe not go so extravagant with Will, this is a person I like. I don't think she's good on the mic. I've never heard her on the mic. But when you talk about aura, Killer Kelly from TNA Impact, she's sexy. It's something about her that you can't take your eyes off of her. How she wrestles is just like this exotic style. Like, so she definitely has a gimmick. I'm gonna go with Killer Kelly if you're looking at something kind of on the indie scene. And I know Impact is not indies, but you know what I mean.
Those are good ones. All three of those were good. So if I had to go indie, Steph is a really good one. I would go with Speedball Mike Bailey.
Oh,
I haven't seen him in a match
dang it.
that wasn't at least great. I've seen him probably now 6-7 times live total.
Dang, I forgot
and
about
every
him.
single time, like, I'm like, man, he's got it. He's absolutely got it. So he's somebody that for sure is wrestling's best kept secret, unless you're, of course, our hardcore, indie fan and you know what's going on. Rhodesia, you went with somebody in WWE. I'm going to go with somebody in AEW, and it's not really, I'm going to say it's a best kept secret because I don't think this person has wrestled a match in AEW yet up to their full potential. And that's Malachi Black. I remember watching Aleister Black in NXT, thinking to myself, oh my God, when he gets to the main roster and he is in a co-main event in WrestleMania, his entrance is going to be incredible and he is going to steal the show. And I remember when he came in, I was super excited. I still think House of Black is fantastic. But if we think about some of those takeover matches he had, I don't think he's been close to that in AEW. And you got to have some singles matches.
I was about to say he didn't have dance partners like that there.
Yeah.
At that time,
so if somebody by some chance is not familiar with his work in NXT, which I'm sure they are, Collision's rating again showed Saturday that there is a ton of overlap with WWE fans and AEW fans, more than the vocal minority would probably ever try to tell us. Because if you look just online and social media, you would think it's like one or the other. And it's not. Because I think they put in like either their second or third lowest rating, like in Collision history. And they didn't even go head to head with WWE. That show was hours before, but I think people just had their fill of wrestling after, a 3-hour show. I'm sure people still watched on DVR, but I digress. I think it's Malachi Black. And then say if I had to pick, so then let's stick with that. Let's go with somebody that is getting the push, quote unquote, and it can be anywhere. AEW, WWE, Impact, TNA, but you're like, man, I still want to see much more. They haven't even scratched the surface of what they could do. Do you guys have one?
You go ahead, Rhodesia.
I want to say, and I'm also ignorant in speaking on this, I just know of all of the energy that I've heard about her, but I'm calling her Ember Moon. God dang it, what's her name?
Athena.
ROH, Athena. I watched a few matches of hers, but again, we know what Athena is. I watched her in NXT. I know who she is as far as a wrestler. Sound safe, great. And I just think that she probably would have been my answer to what he asked, but I haven't watched enough of her matches to say personally that Athena is who I would pick. But I mean, everything I'm hearing about her, she's only scratched the surface in ROH. Get her off of ROH for starters. Get her off of it.
Man, I don't know. Like this is a different conversation.
Real quick. So hold that thought, but I do have to say this, and I think it's a travesty she's not on Dynamite or Collision because just tonight on Dynamite, we're getting Samoa Joe versus Keith Lee. Samoa Joe is the TV ROH champion. The Bucks just lost the ROH Trios titles on Dynamite last week. So don't give me ROH proper is only on ROH shows. No, 95% of the ROH, it feels like, is on some type of AEW show, except for Athena. And I think that's a travesty.
I was just going to say, like, I think they need to go ahead and scrap ROH and then start over with this, because I don't know what the hell they're doing with it. It's almost like, I don't want to keep coming on here and crapping on our good friend Tony Khan, but like whatever he was trying to do with that, it ain't working, man. And I was really trying to give them a shot, give them a chance. That they need to start over. It ain't working. Like you bought that company to put it behind the paywall. Ain't nobody paying to see that. And at the same time, going to Athena, you think about, like, I think that the women's roster on AEW can use some sizzle.
Yep.
And Athena can definitely help them.
Yep.
She's a veteran. She can go. She can talk. She can work. She looks good. Like, why do you have this woman trapped behind the paywall so no one can see her? Use this woman. And I also want to go back to Malachi Black, because he's one of my favorite wrestlers. And I remember when he debuted with AEW and he had those matches with Cody. And Malachi Black kind of helped start turning the crowd against Cody, right? Because Malachi just was so cool. And yes, I love House of Black. I think they're phenomenal. But there's so many big singles matches we haven't had with Malachi Black. Number one, we got a glimpse of it with Kenny Omega and Malachi Black. Yeah. Why haven't we had that match? There's so many first-time matches. I understand that he's been injured a couple times or whatever the case may be, but they got to figure out a way to get that man in prominent positions on that show, because there's room for him to be on that show. And I don't know what it is or who he has to talk to, because I think like some of the opportunities that Swerve is getting, right? And Swerve is like my second favorite wrestler. So I'm glad he's in that position. But he's another one that should be getting that same exact opportunity that Swerve is getting. Let that man go. I feel like he got the chains on that man. Let him go.
Do you think part of that, though, is that Swerve was not taking no for an answer, and he got over and pushed his way through? Or do you think maybe Malachi, because some of the rumors is that he wanted to go back to WWE a year or so ago, do you think maybe he's just kind of not mailing it in, but not advocating for himself?
I would say there's something. I would say something probably happened behind the scenes, because we don't know, right? But we know about what the scuttlebutt was. We know what the booty was, right? But we know for one thing about my man Swerve. Number one, I'm not taking anything away from that man. That man deserves every opportunity he gets. He will be the next, but he will be the first Black AEW World Champion. But one thing about Swerve has been saying ever since he got there, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm gonna make WWE regret releasing me. Like, right? I think he's one of the guys that said, like, hey, somebody hollered at him. I said, I'm good where I'm at. Don't call me no more. Like, right? So I think that a lot of powers and B, they see him working hard. And I also think that Swerve, his creativity, he's probably always talking up, like, hey, here's my character, what I want to do. And he's bringing something new to their ear all the time. And I think that's one big thing about AEW and their creative. I think that you got to kind of be in their ear often. I'm not sure how much, Malachi is in their ear, or I'm also sure how much any past conversations or arguments may have kind of strained the relationship there. But definitely something needs to change for him. He can help that show.
Send him back to NXT. NXT going to CW. He could be the flag bearer of that show. That's where I remember my love of the takeovers from Aleister Black. Take him back, Rhodesia. Put him on the CW. He can go with all them old school Black shows that we used to watch on UPN. He'll fit right in. He's married to Zelina, so we know he liked the
he got some flavor. He got some flavor. He got some flavor.
Like, shout that out
with her slipper and everything. So you just let the cat out of the bag. On WWE, under their corporate website, they talk about the CW network has exclusive NXT for 5 years. They're going to be airing live their episodes starting October 2024. We knew that all of these wrestling companies, they're finding different streaming deals and all this other stuff. But to land on CW, I guess my biggest thing is out of this news, and I had to pull it up to make sure, CW reaches 100% of all television households. So if you think about on a cable TV, or there's only so many households that they reach. Not every channel, or not every cable has USA or whatever. But for everybody who has, I guess, the digital box, whatever you call it, can access CW. This is huge. So that was like the biggest thing for me, that they're about to have a live deal on national broadcasting television that can be in pretty much everybody's household who has a television.
I didn't know. I know there's a lot of conflicting numbers on like what the dollars are with this deal. Regardless, we know that it's a significant amount more than what they're getting now. I've seen 15 million a year. I saw 30 million. So like, I'm sure that stuff will get flushed out. Maybe even by the time you guys hear this, or the next few days, we'll kind of actually hear what this looks like per year. But shout out to them, man. Like, now that they're saying allegedly it's going to stay on Tuesday. That was one of the things. And I think Variety or somebody, or Hollywood Reporter, somebody reported that now, like, okay, Raw's up. Raw's up next now. And they could be somewhere completely different than USA. And what I'm excited for is get them off USA and get that show to 2 hours.
That would be lovely.
That would be incredible. That would be
lovely.
Probably the best news that we could get around WWE programming is Monday Night Raw, or who knows what day it'll be on, but whatever day, give me 2 hours. I ain't gonna have no complaints. I'm good.
Who will be losing money in that deal, though?
Well, it depends. Depends on where they go. So that's the thing, because if it's not USA, because you've already set the barometer with USA that, hey, we got 3 hours. This is how much you can charge advertisers, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully they don't go to a streaming service. I saw that too. I don't think that's the case. I don't think you put CW with NXT,
and then put them on a streaming.
Raw, behind a
that'd be ass backwards.
Like that.
But who would lose the commercial revenue that they would lose from that third hour? Like, would that be?
It would be the network.
Like, right. So like, you think about it, so the network is going to pay for a Raw with one less hour, and they get less. I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like they're gonna lose. They're gonna pay more and lose.
Well, what SmackDown? Which SmackDown is going to USA, right?
Yes.
Okay. And SmackDown got a pretty significant dollar. That's only 2 hours. So if USA was willing to pay for SmackDown for 2 hours, you would think they would be able to sell Raw somewhere else for just 2 hours. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at this not from dollars and cents. Of course, dollars and cents. I'm sure they may try to sell it for 4 hours a week. I'm talking about just as a fan. If you can cut that show to 2 hours, man, man.
Oh, for sure.
So much better.
Everyone wants that show to be 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So much better. But shout out to them. That came out of nowhere. It was a rumor that NWA was about to sign with CW, and then they had my man Norton Coke on the pay-per-view a couple weeks ago, and then the word came out after that okay, their CW deal is in jeopardy. But according to everything that came out surrounding NXT to CW, this has been in the talks for a while. So I don't think it was, as soon as my man was snorting cocaine, they were
let's stay there for a second though, man. Like, what the hell do they be thinking, man? Like, there's not many people that I say, hey, I don't like, without actually knowing. I don't like Billy Corgan. Like, he says some dumbass shit, and like, what a dumb angle that you run, man. Like, what? I'm never giving his show a chance, man. I'm good.
If I have to play devil's advocate, one, it was on pay-per-view, so it wasn't on television. Two, if you are trying to set up your promotion like a TV show, people do drugs in every single gangster show and hood show and party show. There's drug uses everywhere. So if you want to take it that way, you could say that, hey, if these people are playing characters, that's what it should look like. But that's when you kind of go into, yeah, wrestling is entertainment, wrestling is scripted, but it's a different type of scripted than me turning on a regular TV show and watching whatever they're doing. There's some things you just can't get away with, and I think that's one of them. But
yeah, wrestling already has a stigma.
He should have known. Like, hey, if you know you're about to try to shop your show, let's make sure we don't do anything that could put our show at risk. And I think having one of your people snort cocaine on a wrestling show was probably in that realm.
Hey, don't cancel me, everybody. So I'm gonna say a poorly placed joke here. I know one company that absolutely can get down with somebody snorting some coke.
Uh-oh, who was that, Rhodesia? Jesus.
What is known, not needing to be said. He will welcome him with open arms, especially if it's quality grade too. Come on over. Wednesdays and Fridays, and even on Saturdays sometimes. Let's go.
Oh,
wow. Yeah, but I'm excited for NXT, man. I think it's a big move for them. I think that NXT is quickly becoming the show that Triple H always envisioned it being. Like, right? A viable, true brand, right? It is developmental, right? They got their young guys, but they got them mixing with veteran talented. Got them rebuilding their careers on there. Maybe get them hot back for the two top shows. But, if you're on CW and if you can get close to a million views, is that not a full-fledged brand at that point?
100%. But now I wonder, what does the next 11 months look like with NXT on USA? We knew that they were doing the crossover with the main roster talent on NXT to drive ratings, to drive that price up, because they were in negotiations for the deal. Now that you got the deal, does anything change with the show at all? You know what I mean? Like, do they pull back now, or do they go even harder closer to closer to next October, so you get that incredible lead in to CW? So it's going to be interesting just to see what it looks like for the next 11 months with NXT. But I like NXT a whole lot. And it's probably, it's already taken a spot where before I would just I would tune in if I had to. When I say had to, like somebody told me something was good. Okay, let me check it out. Or I would go on YouTube and watch the clips. For the last, we've talked about it for the last couple months now. Like, some part of that show is being watched every week, if not the entire show. There's still some things that I'll fast forward through that just does not pique my interest. But the majority of NXT weekly, I've watched. I'm consuming.
Oh yeah, it's in my rotation. I make it a point to watch NXT. But as you said, there's certain things I don't like. I might fast forward through. But I make it a point every week to watch that show, and at least majority of it. And I it's an exciting time for that company and for that brand. I love to see what's next for it, because I think even back in the day, right? They had these guys just sitting at home, sitting and catering. You're like, man, give these guys something to do. Drop down to NXT, like have them interact with some of those guys. Maybe you might, put a fire underneath them. But Matt, Rhodesia, we talked a little bit about the numbers. Did you guys see is it the SEC?
Yep.
Is that an acronym or is it actually?
It's an acronym.
Okay. Are you guys familiar with that is, Ashley? Do you guys know? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't. Like, right, because I kept seeing these comments about Vince McMahon, and I didn't understand, like, why they kept bringing this man's name up. Like, we know what it is with that man.
He did something again?
That's what I'm like. Did he do something again? Like, why is this information keep coming out about Vince McMahon, how he's like, he could be a liability to the company? So then I had to look at what SEC was, right? I guess it's a independent, like, firm or something that kind of
it's an agency
that kind of goes over
so it's the Securities Exchange Commission, and what they do is they kind of oversee the buying and selling of shares of companies. They want to make sure that if there's mergers, those kind of things, that it passes kind of like their agency overlook, and they can block it sometimes. Can they block it? Let me think about it. No, I don't think they can block it. Maybe they can. I don't remember that much of it. But the SEC is pretty much the ruler over the changing of companies. You are a corporation and you want to sell to somewhere else. If you have shares, you have to make sure that it gets cleared. That's why a lot of times if you have like banks that merge together, it has to get cleared or approved by the SEC. So maybe they say, hey, this dude allegedly has been doing some things that was bad, maybe using companies' money to pay off people. They may not like that.
So they filed on Tuesday, Mr. McMahon's membership on our board could have adverse financial and operational impact on our business. It says it could expose them to negative publicity and have adverse financial and operational impact on business. Yikes. They are trying to get him smooth up out of any types of dealings with that company.
And this was a similar, what they said on the last statement. So I was reading a little bit further. They're saying they also give an overview of the company being traded at that time, right? So this is something they have to, I guess they feel is needed to say to let potential buyers of stock, et cetera, know about what's going on with the company. So pretty much SEC is just saying Mr. McMahon is bad for the business.
The irony there.
Damn.
Right?
Think about that.
The irony there.
We've heard what was best for business this entire time, not knowing it was not Vince McMahon. Shout out to Vince for putting the game on and letting us know years ago. He called it. He called his own downfall. He wasn't best for business.
And so essentially, every time the SEC does these investigations, this is almost going to pretty much be like a copy and paste on every statement, essentially.
Until he gets
Mr.
out,
McMahon,
right?
Just let people know that, like, so what they're also saying is that based on the allegations and things that are going on behind the scenes with him, that more things could possibly, I guess, come out that can negatively impact their business.
But see, here's my thing. My only experience, like I said, it's been a few years with my experience with knowing that kind of lingo. In order to make the deal final, like the TKO merger, it was always my impression that the SEC had to approve it before that even happened, before it was finalized. So I don't know why it's like almost retroactive. So there has to be some other stuff that I'm just not understanding or remembering, because that's usually before things can go through.
It's definitely very interesting because, TKO, and of course, just like the NBA teams, et cetera, they do their research on individuals and what's going on, prior to making these deals, right? And they kind of investigate. So they kind of know what's going on with these people. And they wanted Vince McMahon to be part of this deal. They wanted him back in some type of position. They knew what was going on with this man in the background, so they still took the chance and brought him in. So maybe inside, TKO is like, yeah, we know what's going on with Vince, but we don't think it's going to adversely affect our business, regardless of what the SEC says about Vince's dealing with the company.
I think they brought him back just as a figurehead for anybody who knows Vince is connected to WWE. He's here, so when they do this whole thing, once we get everything signed, we'll force him out. And I think we're seeing that pretty.
But can they force him out? Doesn't he have like does he have like 51%? He can't be forced out, right?
I don't think so.
Not anymore. If I remember correctly, he doesn't have 51%. I just remember reading it, and when they had said the different titles of all the different people, that definitely what's his name, the owner of TKO, he is the boss, and that for some reason I'm like, this is the first time that WWE is not, the family is no longer primary owner of WWE. Yep. So they can't.
He definitely works for Ari. Yep, he definitely works for Ari.
Ari. Yep.
He definitely works for Ari. But and again, this look, in some ways, this is the barbershop, right? We don't know all the details. We just talk about we talk about the booty that's going on. But I believe there's some kind of, I don't know if it's a clause or how the contracts are worded, that Vince can't be put out. But he can have power taken away from him, right? So just like as Ari said, look, Triple H is head of creative. Let him do his thing. Vince, shut the hell up.
go to Saudi with Taker and watch boxing. Stay in that lane. That is your lane right there. Let's switch real quick before we get out of here. Full Gear is next weekend, guys.
No way.
Full Gear is next weekend. Survivor Series is in 2 weeks.
No way.
So far, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches announced. We got Sting, Adam Copeland, and Darby Allin versus Christian, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. We got Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley 2 for the AEW International title. We got Sheeta versus Tony Storm for the AEW Women's title. Swerve versus Hangman Adam Page 2. And then the main event is MJF versus Jay White for the AEW World Heavyweight title.
Shit.
I'm sure they're going to announce more matches, of course, tonight on Dynamite and Collision, and then next week, because they're only at 5. And I think they usually get to about 12 matches or so. So they still got half a card to announce. But we talked pretty in depth on Sunday just surrounding some of the questionable decisions and like the fan base not really being as high on AEW as they used to be, even the most hardcore AEW fans. If you let social media tell it, and looking at some of these attendance numbers, my question to you, 1, what do you think about the card so far? But 2, is AEW in a break glass in case of an emergency situation with this show to try to do something to get some momentum going for their company? Or do you just stay the course?
I definitely think that something needs to happen to get some additional buzz. But I don't think they know what that is. And I sure the heck don't. To be quite honest with you. I mean, I don't know. What are you thinking, Rhodesia?
Real quick on the break glass question. That card that you just said right there, and again, this has never been Tony's issue. He's been a great booker. That is a fire-ass card.
Mm-hmm.
I am looking forward to every single one of those matches that was just announced there. Like a lot. Break glass in case of emergency. Not yet. And to me, I feel like it is only a break glass in case of emergency if MJF is not signed yet. Just because it's kind of like, if you know that you are a spouse of somebody who's a tax accountant, January through April 15th, they're going to be super busy. So their time for you as a relationship, as a couple, is going to be spread thin. I think they can be preparing for this already. WWE is going into Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, Mania time. Not saying they're conceding, not saying that at all, but I think they're anticipating kind of, and then all the sports too, they're kind of going to have lower numbers. I think they already kind of anticipate that. But if they have not signed MJF, their biggest talent, then absolutely this is a break glass when needed.
And you're saying that, so you're saying bring somebody from the outside in? Are you saying take the belt off MJF? So what is your break?
So yes, I probably would say that if he is not signed already, you got to take it off of him, because you're going to have to build somebody up to that point already. Because when he leaves in January, now you're going to have egg on your face. Because now this guy has been so big, so blown up, unless you're trying to give him a hero's farewell. But I just don't think that they should do that if that is the case.
But don't forget, December's pay-per-view was in his hometown. So he's going to have the belt going into December. So we know that part.
Oh, there's going to be a
30th.
Montreal Screwjob part 2.
That could be the big storyline, though. Yeah. No, that could be the big storyline that maybe Adam Cole costs him the title, or that's the night maybe we get the revelation of who the devil is, and that costs him come December 30th. But that could be the major storyline that takes them into the new year. So do you guys think that he's signed yet?
I said yeah.
Here's the thing, Paul. I mean, guys, we got to pause on all this. I mean,
I said Paul. Who's a Paul?
We got to take a pause on all this. Like, Tony Khan is a lot of things, right? But this man has MJF all over his shows. All over his shows. He has like 12 different running storylines right now. Like, right? Champions. He can't be building his shows like this around one man and not have him on ink.
And he's not
exactly.
He can't.
Exactly.
I mean, he's not that bad of a businessman. He's running a whole ass football team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right? Say what you want about AEW, the company is doing really well. It's like one of the probably one of the best 4-year, 5-year ran companies ever in wrestling.
Oh, outside of WWE 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
Wrestling-wise,
you know,
yeah.
it has to be, right? So the man's not stupid. There has to be some kind of long-term deal for MJF. I think he's working at this point about the bidding war. I think he's already signed, because if he's not, if MJF walks off AEW TV after being on like 8 hours of AEW programming onto WWE,
Yep, he beat Kenny. Yep. Mm-hmm.
like, all right, what did I say about
happen.
that man?
That
What did I
can't
say
happen.
about that man?
And it wouldn't be a death blow, but
Oh,
that would hurt. That would hurt worse than anything else that could possibly happen.
I think it is a death blow, because now you
Yeah.
just built this person, you wrapped this mofo up with a bow, and you just gave it to WWE.
Just gave it to him.
Mm-mm.
Like,
And
right?
I'm-
What would
and-
that say? I think that would hurt, like, strike his reputation too.
I think
Like,
so too.
Like, that's such horrible for business that you would build this man this way just to let him go.
That's why I can't see it. I can't see it. I mean,
can't
even
either.
giving him a pay-per-view in his hometown, December 30th, like, that is 2 days before January 1st. It all just,
The
that can't
Montreal
happen.
Screwjob part 2.
I would love to know from the listeners, what you guys think. Is MJF signed or not? Hit us up on X or
He signed to AEW
on
or
YouTube.
not.
Yes, he signed to AEW. Well, he can't be signed anywhere else.
Oh, you're right. You can. Yeah.
But we know, I'm about 90% sure Ospreay, I ain't gonna say 90. I'll probably go 70-30. He's going to AEW. So that's why I said it's not a death blow. And there's a lot of contracts, guys, on both sides. That's going to be up next year. So it would hurt for sure. I think they will lose a lot, but it's not like, oh, okay, wrap up business is over.
Hey, let's stay with AEW real quick about Toni Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you guys think about her? Like, her progression as a character,
Chin up and tits out.
right? Because she has a butler now, right? Got Luther as her butler. Like, I don't know who is friends with Luther, but they find stuff for this man.
Jericho is.
Okay.
Oh, is he? Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
Yep.
And so he has a butler. I'm not sure how much he's going to add to the act. But there's another rumor that Mariah May.
Mm-hmm. Spoiler
Maybe
alert!
coming-
If you don't want to hear, spoiler alert.
Oh, you are gonna get. Look, if you're listening to our show, you want the spoilers. You want all of it. But
You want
Mariah
all
May,
of it.
you want all of it.
He want to
May is
eat.
gonna
He
be
want to
joining
eat
us.
Zoe, and you want
Right.
all of it. You take all of it. Take it.
I don't want to eat Zoe. I don't know.
Well, you was talking about some seasoning salt Lawry's and
He
some
was. He
and
did.
some Red Hot
Lawry's,
Frank's
salt
Red
and
Hot.
pepper,
So yeah,
having dreams of Naya.
My stomach's starting to hurt. But what do you think? Do you think that they're doing too, like, when there's a good thing in AEW? I feel like they start doing too much with it. Do you think they're doing too much with Tony?
No.
Tony, I
Mm-mm.
think this is cool for Tony, because I think if they would have kept doing what they've been doing for the last month, then we would be talking about what we did on the last episode, that they just take it and run it to it's boring and stale now. I'm okay with that, because it is progressing her and her storyline. I'm okay with that.
You think the Butler's adding to the act?
Maybe or maybe not. I don't know that answer quite yet, but I'm happy that it's something different. It's another element to it. And if she's going into this title, I guess probably the next question would be, do we think she's going to win it from Sheeta? That might be
Well,
another
my-
question.
My hope is Mariah costs
Debuts.
Sheeta the match.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, and then Tony wins it. But once again, man, Sheeta's been putting on some bangers too. Like, she's
Yeah.
always misconsistent. But I just think there's a ton of money in Toni Storm. So
I do
to
too.
answer your question, E, no, I don't think it's too much. Because she's going to have her own little fantasy world around her, and that character should. And then just to
Right.
think about where she was 60 days ago with Outcast, man,
As
give
an
me this all day.
afterthought. And she
Give me
was the
this all day.
freaking champion, and she was an afterthought. Like, just look at like how that changed.
I just hope that like, from a character standpoint, she's really starting to really click.
Mhm.
And what you don't want to do is start interjecting things that can kind of throw off the chemistry of what she's doing, right? So she's not able to kind of bounce off Luther and Mariah, right? It'll kind of start dragging the gimmick down if it's not like a chemistry.
I
like,
could
right,
appreciate that.
with those
Right.
people. So that's my
I
only
appreciate
concern.
that.
I mean, she might be really good friends with Mariah, right? And they already have a good backstage chemistry, and Luther might be her homeboy, right? They talk on the phone all the time, so they already got that chemistry. Who knows? But yeah,
I doubt that one, though.
I was interested to see what y'all guys thought.
I have one thing on AEW. Orange Cassidy. So we know he dropped it after being like the workhorse. Probably one of the greatest reigns. We even talked about who had a better reign so far, Gunther or Orange Cassidy. He wins it back, starts to show almost Dynamite almost every week. And now I'm just not behind him anymore. I really feel him dropping it. Just really made my fandom from him kind of just go away.
Oh.
Am I the only one that feel that way on this show?
Mm-mm. And part of it is because the reason why, well, for me, is we know Moxley was never supposed to lose it after that happened. He wasn't supposed to lose it to Phoenix. So we know he's getting it back. And I say that because they've done really nothing with Orange Cassidy since he won it back. So you can tell it was kind of like a holding pattern. So, and Moxley cut a hell of a promo last week talking about this match at Full Gear, which he always does great with the promos. So we'll see how that match turns out, and then we kind of go from there. But yeah, we knew this wasn't the original plan. And we even talked about this on Sunday. Like, they have plans, and then when something happens, okay, well, how do we bounce back from that plan? When do we pull the trigger? When do we put, the gas down? When do we take the gas off? And I think this is one of those situations where Tony has a plan, and if something happens, it just feels like everything is in a holding pattern until he can get back to that. And I respect it on one instance, because if the original plans are great, you don't want to deviate from it. But then that's when you got to get some ideas on, okay, if Mox is out for 45 days, 60 days, or we don't know when he's coming back, what can we do with Orange Cassidy to keep him hot? And to me, just throwing him in matches isn't how you keep somebody hot.
And so now that you say that just went ding, ding, ding in my head. I think that Tony is learning from that by having MJF affiliated with so many different people. Because if one storyline goes down, there's already something that's there with somebody else. So again, I don't know if he did that by design.
I'm telling you.
But I think
MJF
that's why it's like that.
The entire December pay-per-view is his matches. He's wrestling 10 times on that show. He's defending the title in every single match. That's the way it needs to be. But I'll tell you what's funny. You brought up like Orange Cassidy and then, Gunther's title reign. When we were having those conversations, why didn't we ever bring up MJF's title reign?
Well, because to me, they weren't a workhorse like Orange Cassidy was, and they didn't bring the title of the IC championship to this newfound glorious pedestal. I just didn't compare it. I mean, because remember, I wasn't really rocking with MJF back then. I just said last episode that MJF could wrestle. So
that's right.
There's progression here for me.
He was a crackhead in your eyes as of episode 78. You're right. My bad. But yeah, we didn't bring up MJF's. And I mean, we got to probably start talking about Seth's run too. Seth now has been the champion for, probably half a year, right? Or something like that. Didn't he get that belt like in April?
He got it after Mania,
at Backlash, right? Wasn't it Backlash?
Yeah.
No, it was the Saudi show. So I
okay.
thought they hit Saudi.
Yeah, not quite a year then.
Yeah, no, it's about half a year.
Yeah, not quite. Yeah,
or so.
It's I don't want to say MJF's run has been flat for me, but it hasn't been hot for me either. I don't know what specifically it is. I don't like all these storylines that he's in. I'm not sure what's supposed to be important, and I forget about half of them. We didn't talk. We talked about the Devil storyline, right? They've been running that for months now, right? But they're doing one. 8 different storylines with them. We talk about it.
Yeah, it hasn't been months, just because that happened the same show where Adam Cole broke his ankle, and I think that was only a month ago. So hasn't been months on that, but also that's another one. I'm sure they've paused kind of what they were doing with that, because there's no way Adam Cole wasn't involved in that storyline. Who knows? There's still some conspiracy theories out there that he really didn't break his ankle and he is going to be shown as the devil
That's
And
crazy.
that's
He
this whole
definitely
thing.
broke something. He definitely.
He jumped down that row,
I think
jumped
so
in
too.
that ring.
But that would be incredible if they somehow gimmicked everybody and kayfabed everybody, and his leg is just fine. That would go down. I'd be like, all right, y'all got that one. But we'll see.
How do you feel about MJF's face run though? I think he definitely plays a likable character, right?
For sure. And all he does is, I was telling Rhodesia a few weeks ago that like all he's doing, if you don't know like 80s babyface, that's what MJF is playing. He is the over the top 80s babyface, but he's the only person that can get away with it because we love MJF so much. I've been enjoying this run. I've been asking for him to be a face. It just sucks though that his run right now is during a time where attendance isn't the best.
Right.
Like, I don't want this to be looked back. Like, we look at Brett's run back in the 90s as like tarnished because it was at a horrible time period for WWE's business.
Yep.
And even though they're doing great on pay-per-view, and I'm sure they're going to do a great number again for Full Gear, but we're seeing like collisions, ratings, we're seeing these attendance numbers. I just don't want years from now, we look back and we just look at the numbers and say like, oh man, when MJF was on top, he couldn't do anything.
And last thing on this one, so on this Full Gear, we got MJF against the Gun Boys, right? I'm pretty sure Samoa Joe's going to be the partner. Then he's going to wrestle a whole ass match with Jay White and probably win. Damn,
He's
this is
definitely
Superman.
winning. He's
This is
definitely winning.
Superman.
Hey man, so is Cody. We
Or
love
not.
Cody. So
He's
is
not.
Cena. So is Cena. Like, he's Superman too. So like, it's okay to have some of these superhero baby faces.
No, these dudes wasn't wrestling twice in one night. Squashing a team and then going on and winning a match later on the night. They wasn't doing that. Not in one night, guys.
Well, Joe can handle the guns by himself, so there you go. He just won't tag in, right?
That would be funny. I don't think that's gonna happen. That would be funny though.
Joe will drag him into the ring.
So then, last question, and we can get out of here because we kind of just booked like December 30th. I think we all hope that he's under contract.
With AEW.
Yep. Do we get a major storyline coming out of that show? Like, is there a cliffhanger at the end of that pay-per-view where we're just like, all right, we're off and running? Or is it just a normal pay-per-view in MJF's hometown? He goes over, everything's beautiful, and then we just see what happens the next week on Dynamite.
Let's take the former. Yes. We will be leaving like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to tune into Dynamite.
I can't call it, y'all. I don't know what the hell they doing on that show, man. I have no idea.
I think they have to. I don't know if it's going to be a screw job, but something has to happen on that show that we were just like, all right, here we go. We're off to the races.
But you know what, though, man? They try so hard for this type of stuff, man. I think they try so hard to create these swervy, fanboy type scenarios, man. They just fall flat, man. I just almost think that, man, if they just do booking 101 and just actually just try to do an old school solid storyline, they'll be better off, man. I think they spend too much time trying to find, like, somewhere like they try to hit that do that home run pitch, like that thing that can just, and what, like, like if they just actually do something this solid, like solid. I'm having a hard time putting it into words, but I feel like they try to do too much.
You saying
I like that, though. I
if
like
we
that
playing
sometimes.
baseball, you saying go for singles and doubles and not a home run every single time up at bat is what you're saying.
You know what? I have no idea anything about baseball, but I'm a trust.
Sounds
you.
about right, huh?
So yes.
But see. Okay, so again, I can appreciate that comment too, Eshaun, but I like that. There's been times where I've watched AEW and I was like, oh shoot, I didn't even think that was going to happen. Oh shoot, that person dropped the title. Now, of course, how it looks on the other side of that, that's another story. But I am surprised sometimes when I see AEW. I like that. Where in WWE, I don't really get surprised unless somebody's returning back. I like that in AEW. I do. So maybe I like high flying, quick matches, boom, 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 pow, pow, flips and grips and whatever y'all call it. I like that. But I don't
But
get
you know
surprised that much in WWE.
You know what it is on AEW? It's kind of like a kid in the candy store. Like, right? Let a kid go in the candy store. Everything is free. Eat what you want. And the kids going ham in there. They eating 2 hands, shoving everything in their mouth. And after a while, they get sick and they pass out. They wake up, throw up, go back at it again, right? After a little while, they get so sick, they're like, damn, I can't do it no more. I've had too much. And that's what AEW is. It's too much. All that you like, there's too much of it. So it's happened so often, so much that you don't care about what happened last week. Because like something else popped off this week. Something popped off earlier in the show, later on in the show. Like this swerve happened. Like it's so many things that happen in so little time that you can't really even consume it all properly. Right?
Well, call me a kid. Because when you said that sounded like heaven. Give me as much candy as I can. I'd be gluttonized. I just made up a word. Gluttonized, laying on the floor, pass out in my own vomit. Give it to me.
Yeah, and that's not an ideal state for most people, and that's why most people ain't watching the show.
or going to the show.
Well, I was going to say, that was easier to take care of and handle when we didn't have Collision. Right? You just had Dynamite, because like that's been a thing forever. We would say, just slow down, guys. Just slow down a tad. Just like let us understand what we're watching. Just slow down. But when now you're talking about them putting on 5 hours of TV a week, and it sucks. Like Rampage, I heard Rampage has been like pretty good. They had the awesome triple threat lucha match.
Lineups look kind of nice.
I didn't even check it out, but I think they only did like 286,000 viewers. Like people are tuning out of Rampage.
Damn, hey, didn't they say that Rampage beat Collision last week?
No, I don't think so.
We might have looked that up and come back to that. I think they actually did.
Yikes.
Jeez.
Well, everything does not go down in ratings. We know that already. There's a ton of people who watch YouTube and just clips on internet and DVR, but
For sure.
we'll see. We will see.
Hey, back in the day, I was watching like 6 Hours of Dark on YouTube, so I can't say too much.
That's that's what I'm saying though, and I think they were getting like 50,000 views like a week or something like that. It would be great, and I don't even know what I would do different. It would just be awesome if like they could just like reset. Like they legit just have a reset button and Tony comes out with one of his important announcements. He just says, hey guys, we're resetting everything. And that's it.
0-0. Everybody's 0 wins, 0 losses.
Everything. Like storylines are completely
There's 2 belts.
reset.
A men's
You
belt
don't
and a
know if
women's
somebody's
belt.
a face or a heel until they come out and you look at which way they walk. So now, okay, so they're a face now. It would be cool if they just hit a massive reset button. Because that's what it kind of just feels like is needed.
It's the day after Mania. Or
Right
I
now,
guess
yeah.
the week after Mania.
Hey, this is gonna be like one of the moments. Remember when Vince McMahon and Stephanie and Shane had that Raw? And they said, "We hear you."
Nothing changed.
Nothing.
Nothing. I got so excited.
We all did. We were like, "Yeah, it's about to be different." They heard us. The next week was the same old stuff.
And salted my intelligence one of the many times.
Oh man, what's the wrap? Let's wrap this thing. Get on up out of here. Thank you guys for listening. As always, we already talked about the socials. We talked about the YouTubes. We asked you guys to follow us and do all that. That is it. We up out of here. We will talk to you guys on Sunday. Have a good one.